Good evening, everyone. It's 6:01, and we'll start the special city council meeting June 30, 2026. If you could all please stand for the pledge. Thank you. Item 1, public comments and announcements. At this time, we'd like to listen to any member of the audience on any subject matter, whether or not that item is on the agenda, shall be limited to city business or city-related business or matters of general public interest, and shall not include any personal attacks or abusive language. Any disruptive or abusive behavior will result in the removal of the speaker from the council chambers. All public remarks shall be addressed to the chair. Comments should not be directed toward individual council members, city staff, or other members of the public. We have one speaker, John Kogshell. John, make sure that mic's on, please.
It's on.
Tap, tap.
You might have turned it off. It was on.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's John Kogashal. I'm on the Parks and Trails Committee with the city. We're currently reviewing our Parks and Trails CIP projects within the Parks and Trails. You guys are going to see an master list this morning. I've got a couple that I've introduced, but the committee hasn't yet reviewed them, but I'd like to just talk about both of mine real quick. The first one I'm asking to be added for CIP is we have the trail signs. We have 12 signs. They're about 3 foot by 2 foot. They got pelicans and roads on them. They're very old. They're not very useful anymore. I'm proposing that we replace those with some eco-tourist signs. My ideas are, for example, one sign would say raptors of Seabrook, and you put eight of the birds, the raptors that in Seabrook that frequent. You put what months they're in the city. You put the frequency. Then you have shorebirds of Seabrook. So come up with like 12 different months, maybe a couple. So that's one thing I'd like to introduce. You won't see it here tonight because it's not really simple. The other one is a trail addition.
They're having trouble hearing you on the recording.
Okay, so get closer. Oh, that's better. Okay. The other one's a trail extension, and the Seabrook Trail. One of the best parts of Seabrook. It draws a lot of residents and tourists to it. There is a trail on top of the berm. The berm was built 15, 20 years ago for sound mitigation for when the Port of Houston put in their train lines. The train lines are now in. There's like 16 tracks. They're running the trains on them all day, and on top of that's the berm. The port will soon, Gail talks about when, but that date keeps slipping. The port's soon going to build a road in along that berm. So as you come down Red Bluff now, that road's just going to, when you have to turn right or left on, I can't remember the name of that road. That's just going to come straight into the port system. The trail is
Hey, John, sorry.
The berm trail is about, when the port starts to build their road in, the trail's gonna have to be closed. So half of that berm trail is gonna be closed. The other half, unfortunately, we did not have the funding to run it all the way down to Toddville. It just dead ends. You walk about a quarter of a mile and there's a sign that says dead end. You need to go 0.2 miles farther and we could tie it into Toddville. So my CIP project is for the Seabrook to work with the port to figure out how to build that last 0.2 miles of the trail. The port has done a lot of work as they put in their rail lines. A lot of things kind of changed. They even have a road over there now. So there's a variety of ways you can do it. I'm asking that Seabrook and the port figure out how to build in just a little bit more road so we could make that trail system circular. It would help out with the, folks are going to be upset when half that trail system gets closed here pretty soon. And that would really be a good mitigating factor is, hey, you can do this. And I think that would really help. And I'm probably out of time. So that's about it.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody that didn't get a chance to sign up would like to speak? Okay. Item 2, I don't see the farmers market folks here, so we'll just keep that as it's stated on the agenda. Item 2, new business. Item 2.1, conduct a capital improvement program CIP workshop to provide an overview of the city's capital planning process, review the status and funding of current capital projects, discuss proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 capital improvement projects and budgets, consider potential new or modified projects, and receive public input and city council feedback on community infrastructure and quality of life priorities. That's probably Gail.
All right, Mayor and Council, you've got a hard copy of the presentation that I'm about to run through. This is a workshop session, so feel free to stop at any point. If you need clarification, you have questions, idea midstream, we'll try to keep this as informal as possible. A lot of the projects are dependent on our public works, so Brian and Jesse are here. I'm going to rely on their expertise on a lot of these things. And then I've also included, we just finished we're utilizing the Flash Vote platform, so we just finished that, and you've got a hard copy of the AI-generated summary. That is just another tool for council just to see briefly if there's any community input on projects that we haven't discussed or thought about, and we can bring those up as well. So a couple of resources for you. In addition, you've got a hard copy of, this is very much a draft of the CIP with your yellow highlight indicating the fiscal year 27 that we'll be working towards for these budget workshops. So we'll jump in. Again, I just want to highlight a lot of these projects are dependent and reliant on our public works staff. You'll see when we get into such sidewalks, we're using our labor under the streets department, but they're all run predominantly through public works, their oversight, management, and then there's always something that we usually end up pulling the guys or the crews for to complement some of our projects. So what is a CIP? Our CIP is a strategic and financial planning document. It's used to identify our major physical infrastructure projects. We've really built on this over the last few years to add sections, so there's always room for improvement and growth. If there's things that we are starting to see that are our infrastructure, our assets that we need to put on a long-term plan. It seems like everything that we start ends up having a pretty hefty price tag, so we need to plan for it, and this is where we start. So our long-term assets such as buildings, roads, parks, water, sewer systems, and anything on our facility side, we're starting to try to put in these long-term plans. How do we get these projects? This is the creative point that we really want input as much as possible from you as council. Our staff obviously is very key because they're in the heat of it with a lot of our infrastructure pieces, but community input, surveys, we'll go into strategic planning later next week. This is very much a working document. You won't be committing the funds and or to the projects until we start to finalize your entire budget budget. Your budget and your CIP go hand in hand. So this is by no means tonight a final document. This is just to orient you and to get you into the process for budget. Strategic plan is one of our overall plans that we try to reference back. In addition to, on the previous slide, we have a Parks Master Plan, we have the Carruthers Plan, we've got our street pavement plan. All these plans feed into this plan, which actually puts money with the projects. So we need to just keep in mind that we've got several things we're pulling from, and the money being the key. So this is just sort of a visual that we used last year, and I think it's excellent because we're not pulling from one fund, i.e., say your general fund, that most people are acquainted with. You have numerous buckets, and we collectively, a lot of these are debt buckets, so we're spending down past debt on projects. Each debt issuance is specific to the type of projects that we can spend the funds on. We have new fund, or not really new funds, but we've got funds down here at the bottom that are additional funds we're drawing from. The Port of Houston for IDA funds and settlement this last year has helped us to complete and fund the Pier project and Bayside Park. So these at the bottom are a little bit different, and we're starting to kind of spin down on those. Our projects come in, as we mentioned, a number of different ways. We evaluate them, not only me, but our team, our leadership team, predominantly my public works I rely heavily on. And then we kind of go to the chopping block. Some things make sense for us to keep. Sometimes when we get the cost estimates, it's way beyond what we can even see bringing forward to council, so those fall off. And then I go over to finance, as we talked about with the buckets. So we can come up with a million different ideas. And if you're looking at your hard copy, if you take a peek at your last sheet, you can see in the perfect world, if we had $144 million, we would do everything. But we don't. So this is where you're planning and what year that you want to put these particular projects are in. And then finance and myself will help to determine, do we have the funds available? And does it meet the priority year that you're wanting to put that in? Again, these are the subcategories that are in the document currently. So we have the water, sewer, and drainage, our streets, facilities, equipment and vehicles we'll talk about, and then parks, sidewalks was entered a few years back, and then our IT department. Again, all the appropriations that we'll talk about and finalizing with these projects will go into your fiscal year 27. So once we determine which bucket, then once we start to give you your draft budget, then we'll kind of show you where we've budgeted these funds to make these projects come true. Again, this is just meant to be a reorientation tonight. We'll not really dive into this, but again, I mentioned vehicles, and this is a fleet replacement program that very much complements what you're looking at, which is another long-term plan. This is pretty much run by our finance department and the directors, but it allows us to cash flow all of the vehicles that you see here in our police department, our public works department, and now our EMS department. The next few slides, I'm just going to very quickly run through the completions or projects we have not completed in your current fiscal year for 26. So in the water side, we still have two projects that are identified with as an interconnect, and we are interconnecting with the city of Pasadena, so we are still working on those two. Those have proved to be a little bit challenging to actually plug in, but we are working to get those completed. Your Seascape water lines was an impact fee project, and that was completed earlier this year. On your wastewater, starting over at the left, we are working on a force main. So Pine Gully Bridge, we've got an exposed sewer that we are working on a project to bore that under. And then over by Pier 8, we have another exposed wastewater line. We're working to bore that one with these CIP projects. We got a number of HMGP disaster-related grants. One of those were wastewater, so those actually should be a check. We've got those in. We're just doing closeout with the FEMA folks. And then the last one is Main Street demo. That one's still in progress. We did a couple of updates. We've had to get some testing on the dirt, and we are getting some updates on that. So it looks like we're going to have some additional costs to go down a little bit deeper to get that contaminated dirt out. Street projects, we are obviously currently in the East Meyer reconstruction process, and then North Meyer is probably about, I would say, 50 to 60% complete in design. So we did a walkthrough with the crews. We're waiting on the next update to get that probably 60% designs. So this will come much later this year or at the beginning of next year. This is your 2023 certificates of obligation. So this is what I'll refer to as your street debt money. We took out 10 million, and so where we can leverage grants as we are in the North Meyer project helps. And then we're able to do some of these other smaller projects that we're doing in Old Seabrook, Lyman, those type of things. On your park projects, we're currently still in progress on the pool. On Wildlife Park, y'all just heard at their last meeting to put in a pavilion over by the new moved restroom out there. And then we have Carruthers Coastal East Track. That one is, a design contract was approved by council, and we're going to go over to the Parks Committee and kick that off and get those designs with the goal of getting construction, and then later this year bidding that one. Pine Gully Pier is in progress, and we're looking to do the kickoff either this week or early next week. On your facilities, we have, again, a fire truck. This was from your bond election in '23. That's on order. The fire training tower was completed. Gateway signage RFP will be going out. Your EMS and EOC building, Kevin, and Robert, can y'all smile real big? Okay. MCA, the contract that council approved, the contractor is now on site. So you'll start to see some activity in that project. And then all of the additional generators, and again, for those new on council, we were fortunate enough to get disaster funding for over $1 million worth of generators. So all those are in. We're just in the glorious paperwork checkout process. On your sidewalk and drainage, this year, we've done this a couple different ways, and I know there will probably be some discussion. So we've got a proposed option for sidewalks, all dependent on how we start to look on the budget side. But your Public Works team decided, it was a tight budget last year, to budget $25,000, and they have knocked out over 9,000 linear feet. So they're working it into their plan, and so it's been great. I think it's been a little bit of a challenge, but they've done, obviously, 9,000 linear feet, fabulous. And so we're going to look to probably get a little bit of help with a third party, and you'll see that in your fiscal year 27 proposal, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. IT kind of knocked it out of the park. We had all of these projects with them pushed out in future years. A lot of them started escalating as servers started to age out a little bit quicker than we anticipated. We did some transfers. We found some funds in other departments, and we got them all knocked out. So this is a cost estimate. It was probably a little bit less than this, but almost $200,000 in completed project in IT. All right, so I'm going to stop here. We're going to shift and go into what we're proposing, which will complement a lot of your hard copy that you have before you. But again, any questions on what we've just kind of updated on 26? No? Okay.
Gail, I have a question on our IDAs. Are we anywhere near renewals of those, or is that still pretty much a ways away? Or
we just did the one with the Port of Houston, so that one's 15 years, I believe. And then the other two, I'll have to look, we are probably 5 years in, and those were, I think, both 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do have some time on all of them.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so for your 27, this kind of gives you an overview. Again, the yellow highlighted column is our focus for tonight. We can't do everything, so this is what we're, at this particular moment, targeting to have discussions with council tonight. Overall, again, some of these are complemented with grants, but 22 million in recommended, that should be 27 projects. Go ahead and start with our wastewater. This is, the first one is Seabrook, and we will, got a couple of explanation slides on this, but we've got some water lines that are still sprinkled throughout the community that are the
Concrete.
I want to say the word to scare anybody, but it's older lines, yeah, that we've got. So Brian and his team are identifying it throughout the community, and we've got these placed on your CIP. Seabrook would be the next highest priority, so it's a little over $1 million. The second project, NASA, this is over there by Classic Cafe, so you have another exposed water line that runs across that bridge. And this one is currently in for disaster funding. So you're seeing a 1.9. However, we have a 75-25 in with FEMA on this. So we only have partial funding right now tucked away. We do not have an answer on this, but I'm going to go ahead and put it for fiscal year 27 with the hope that we will get an answer soon. Then our next project that is new is been identified is to also update the line at Red Bluff from Toddville to Bayview. So these are the water proposed projects for fiscal year 27. On wastewater, there is quite a bit going on in the wastewater department. You'll have an item that's coming to you at the next city council meeting, and it's going to be with WW24 right on that top button. So we are having some infiltration issues on our system, and this pump system is going to, what we hope, alleviate some of that. We're doing a test run with some temporary pump systems right now to make sure, but when this comes over to you, this is to alleviate some backup problems that we are having. The system is not functioning exactly how we had hoped it would at the Main Street lift station. So this is a serious one. We'll get into a little bit more detail here in a little bit if you want to. And then the next two are kind of similar. Once the wastewater plant was moved, we were getting reports of significant odor at Robinson, and then we're still getting reports at the Main Street. So Robinson's been approved by council. Main Street, would be the next project that we would take care of the other main lift station to put these devices on there. So overall, this would be looking at a little over $900,000, and this is, we've got some existing funding that came back from the state, so we're healthy in the proposed funding that we'll be looking at. Going into a little bit more detail, this is your Seabrook waterline project that Brian was just speaking of. So in this section, Seabrook would go in and replace the old lines and update them to increase the capacity up to also 6 inches in that area.
Okay, back up. I'm still thinking on something. Did you say that we have state funding coming in for the Seabrook project? My wires are crossing, sorry.
We do. Good question. So we, in the column Fund 29, when we started our project with the wastewater treatment plant, we received a federal grant that it's 75, and then the city local matched for 25%.
Okay.
The state passed a state infrastructure bill that turned around and then reimbursed us back 75% of our 25%. So that has been a blessing with some of the issues that are coming up, and that's why we're healthily funded. The money that comes back, we are putting back in sort of like the debt funds that we had to do for the wastewater plant. Because we got the money from the state for that project, we have to put it back in that bank account and spend it in the same way. So wastewater, wastewater repairs, upgrades, enhancements, all of that fits the eligibility requirements for us
Okay.
to use that fund. So
Okay, that's where I was getting confused. I'm like, I heard two separate projects and, okay, got it. Thank you for clarifying, because I was a little confused.
So the 75-25 is going back to the Seabrook project.
Yes. She just asked if the 75-25 is going back to the the Bayside project.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Anything
Sorry,
that's
she didn't have her mic on,
oh, water and wastewater, we can spend it on those.
because it's wastewater.
On your street projects for 27, we're being conservative, so right now we just have planned to do the North Meyer. 8 million is the internal staff's estimate, so until we actually bid this project, we're not sure. We did get the Harris County grant. You have to tell them amount to lock in, so it won't exceed 4 million and/or 50% of the bid project. So until we get to that point, we do have some other, as I think some of you guys know, we purchased an AI technology. We drive the AI technology every year to determine the pavement index condition of our roads, and that's how we are prioritizing the conditions of our roads. So we do have a very long list. We've got a few on your current CIP that we would prioritize next. If North Meyer comes in less than expected, we just don't want to commit at this particular moment, so that would probably be a mid-year change if we're so fortunate that maybe we come in well under the 8 million. Again, this is just a shot from that. This project, just as a side note, the project that they did over at the Harris County Sports Complex, they left the granite trails in sections outside of the concrete. They put in the nice concrete right in front. So what the plan is, we are talking with the engineers that we would basically beautify and enlarge to 4-foot sidewalks all the way down North Meyer so that we'd have that great pedestrian connectivity that would go all the way up towards Tookie Seafood and then make that interconnection with the sidewalk system on 146. So this is twofold. It would be an aging street, but also the infrastructure to put in to make it really good and clean with our pedestrian connectivity.
And so you got some.
Can you provide council with a copy of the list of roads, like in order of priority that you were speaking on?
Yeah, I think you've got that. Yeah. We'll
Thank you,
send that
Brian.
out. Mhm.
I was just looking up, we had an email that did you receive the letter from the county about that project that is going on for a vote? Mercedes said she was sending a letter, you should have received it in the last week or so, confirming.
Oh, for
4 million?
this?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we are going to shift gears here. I'm going to ask Brian to come up. This is not highlighted on your sheet, but we are aware with the recent rains. We have Baywood Street that's at the far north side of town. We understand that we do have some issues, and so we've been collaborating with Public Works, and Brian's got some ideas and solutions that this may. We've got some drainage money that we could actually possibly do something with this project, so.
Is that low bridge?
So we're getting a proposal now, but we would like to do an entire drainage study of that watershed for that tributary of Pine Gully. Within that, we would like to see if we have the correct culvert sizes at Baywood and at Pine Gully. And then we also want to see, the original CIP was a bridge project. With the addition of the houses on the west side of that bridge, those driveways are not going to allow for a bridge. We're thinking box culverts and then get the road up as high as we can, but still allow access to that driveway on the west side.
You say the west side, are you talking about those new houses that are built on stilts?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is not the outfall project funds, right? This is a separate funding source?
So we took out certificate of obligation money drainage funds, so it's another bucket. And that was the one fund prior council. Miramar was a huge project, and that's what we originally took the debt out for. But it was so the magnitude on that one and the public input killed that project. So we are shifting gears and doing other drainage projects with that debt money.
So those are the outfall debt funds that you and I had spoken about?
Outfall. We've done outfall projects. Is that what the ones that we've?
Yeah, I thought those were coming from that same fund that was originally allocated for Miramar.
Yes, we did pull from that fund as well. Yes. Yeah. Now we'll move on to the fun stuff.
I do have a picture of somebody wading through that bridge. I happened to be on that road during the storm. He was thigh high in water, trying to get to his Uber Eats guy who was parked on the other side.
If you haven't drove out there, not familiar with the area, it'd probably be worth the trip. It is a challenge. When I first stepped in, we had, I think, a $1.1 million bridge concept, and in engineering world and slopes, it was quite the span bridge that had to go in. The new houses, the span bridge will absolutely not work. It's definitely a challenge for us to be able to do it, but the drainage study would be the first step before we would commit to anything as far as the culverts or drainage construction, would allow us to see if that's actually the best use of the money and would get them at least passable during, heavy rain events. And they've traditionally, that's been, as far back as I can remember, that section's gone under, so it's historical.
Do we know that, just look at this picture right here, this house with the black truck, was that like a post-Ike renovation to be that high? Do we know?
I'll
Probably
let Sean answer that
one
one.
of the few people that recalls those days.
So after Hurricane Ike, they elected, that was all A zone out there, so you could build on structural fill, so they elected to elevate their house that way after Ike.
Would this project deplete those funds? Because I know we've been allocating those towards the outfalls, in Lake Cove and those areas. So will this exhaust those?
We are needing to spend down the funds. I was thinking on the outfalls, we've identified all of them.
All the outfalls that were identified, we've done them all.
Right, but it's the same funding source.
It
So
is,
it was that funding source that was allocated towards the outfall. My question is, would this project exhaust the rest of that funding source that you said you wanted to spend down?
We hope so, because we're getting to that point where our deadline's gone and we need to spend it down. We don't know. Brian's just rough estimate. We believe we'd come in, we have approximately $750,000 in that fund. And so doing the study, as you know, studies, we'll just say, $30,000. And then going into construction, I think that we could knock that project out and give significant value to that community. That they would be in a much better position than they are now.
Sorry, last question. So it would, fair to say, deplete those remaining outfall or drainage funds, and then would it also take funds off the top of another funding source? Would that cover the project, do you think?
I think it would cover it.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it would zero fund it out, and then we could close that debt fund out completely.
Thank you.
All right, so on the parks projects, we still have Carruthers East Track. I mentioned y'all approved a design, so we're moving forward. Target to go out at the end of this year, get that bid. This is similar situation that we talked about. We got insurance proceeds, went back to account, has to be spent in the same fashion. So that 287 is a fund that we're anxious to get spent down as well. The Bayside Park is 2.8. This came from the concept, and this is the cost estimate from the concepts. It's in design right now, so nothing has been changed as far as our estimated cost. 168 for Hester Park pedestrian bridge. You should have seen about a month or so ago, we went out to bids. So we had to get engineering for the span bridge that we want to put across Hester Park. So it'll be a two-step process. And then lastly, Pine Gully Pier, so this is an updated actual cost. So all in all, you're looking at just a little over $5 million in park projects.
On the Bayside, the 2.8 was not including some of the enhancements along the shoreline. Is that right?
That's correct. So the concept drawing did focus not going all the way down with a lot of the riprap and actual shoreline enhancements. So there would be an additional phase on that. This is to take care of everything, probably down to the prairie native grass plantings, and then but exact at shoreline, that would be a second phase.
So we're probably looking to stack a grant or something to maybe GLO might be a partner in that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So again, this is just a old rendering of looking at the electrical and irrigation system that they'll be working with the Parks Board and staff to get hammered out to construction bid documents. This is your last conceptual of Bayside, so this is your 2.8. Right now, we're looking at port funds and a possible Texas Parks and Wildlife grant. You'll have a resolution at your next regular city council meeting, and then your EDC is also committed $500,000 towards this project as well, already in the design portion of this. So it's been a combination and collaboration, but a good chunk of funds are already allocated towards that. On facilities projects, we have gateway directional signage. This RFP is about to go out, so we're almost there. And this is where we're working towards the end of this presentation here in a minute. So staff's taken the liberty to interject a few new projects as well, and you can see those denoted by new. Facilities is the first one, and I apologize I don't have more pictures because it really looked good. But we, mid-year last year, came to council and asked for, at the beginning of the budget season, about $600,000 to do the police department renovations and some renovations here at the lobby and upstairs in the lobby. And so we've completed all of those. The community house was the other project that we had rollover funds. And after we've completed it, if you're welcome to go over there if after this meeting, or if you want to arrange something. The remodel turned out really well in the main room. Then you walk into the kitchen. And then you get brave and you walk in the bathrooms. So I would strongly encourage you to take a tour. We've talked to the couple of contractors. This is not going to be it's not going to be a cheap job. So we're putting this as proposed. We're looking for direction from council if this is the year to move on with it, or if we shelf it, that's fine too. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention.
So this phase 2 would cover the restrooms and the kitchen?
And these are just cost estimates, pie in the sky numbers. If you will tour the area, the restrooms will have to be a complete gut and the kitchen will have to be a complete gut. So that's the reason for the high numbers.
So we spoke with Kara today, and she mentioned that indoor grant through Texas Parks and Wildlife. This is potentially something we could explore with her?
I'll shoot it back. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Is that a separate grant from like the parks? In separate pocket?
So there's 3 grants that we potentially qualify for this year. The indoor community grant is every other year offered, and so we could potentially apply for it this year.
Super.
Do we know how often the community house is rented out?
I see the weekly list we've been down now for several months, but almost every weekend, especially during the wedding season, it's pretty heavily used. Brian, I don't know if you can. Every weekend? Yeah.
So I feel like too, like if we spruce it up a little bit too, we're gonna have to make it nicer on the inside for the kitchen and everything too. That might, also help, potentially down the road, look, if we go to like increase the rates or something like that to rent it, to help kind of offset some of the costs too, so.
Yeah. The project turned out really, really nice. Again, I'll get some pictures out to you guys. I just didn't have time to do it in the presentation, but I think it really does kind of highlight the fact of putting a little bit of attention to the main room, that it probably does deem kind of going into those other areas. The difference in the dating now is pretty obvious.
Is the roof in need of repair for damage, or is it causing problems?
Initially, the big rains that we just had, the contractor had alerted me that it looked like the flashing was a problem. We did not have any leaks during these last few storms, even with that side. So I don't think it's quite as urgent. However, it is over a 20-year-old roof. So I'm adding this just, again, as trying to be a little more proactive on our facility maintenance. And so knowing that it's now 20 years old, I just want to put that on the radar as well. We've also kind of did a few AI renderings. This building and most of our city facilities now have the metal roof, which is a little bit more expensive, but that's an option that looked pretty attractive on the building as well.
If there is flashing damage and potential, I don't know, like any roof damage or what have you, but have you guys considered having an insurance agent look over it?
We
Since it
have
is-
not, Chrissy. I think from, let's see, I don't want to get into too much detail. I think it looked like an age thing to them. So we could probably certainly see if our insurance could take a look at it, see if it was hail or anything like that. So, yeah.
Doesn't hurt to assess. The worst they can say is no.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And is this TML that they have to do our building? Okay. 'Cause like on my house, at 20 years, they said you've replaced it or we're canceling your insurance. So.
Do we know how old the roof is currently?
It was right after Ike, so, yeah, yeah. That one wasn't insurance. So as mentioned, our gateway directional signage, we'll get this going, and this is going to be an exciting project. And touching on the parks, I know park signage, John mentioned the eco, there's just lots of opportunities in those sign families for us to kind of kick that off. Our sidewalks, again, we've bumped this up. This will be, most likely will come to you in your proposed budget as a one-time expense to probably draw down from previous reserves. But again, this will, if our guys can knock out 9,000, we'll probably do a hybrid is what we're kind of looking at possibly. But we are having a lot of projects for the streets, and if they've been in your neighborhoods mobilized, you can see it takes about a week from the time they get set up, tear down, frame it out, pour it, cure it, all that good stuff. So it's quite a chunk of their time, and there is some other projects that are starting to get higher priority in their department. So thus the reason that we're kind of stepping it up as far as funding for this particular CIP. Okay, this is wrapping it up, and we'll just open it up for different projects to talk about. I did want to, right off the bat, talk about our donated property on Nassau Parkway. So you will have a recommendation sheet. Your Parks Board did talk about this particular site and return to that they want council to not look at disposing the property or selling it, but developing the property. So since we're heading into budget season, I wanted to put this first on the list that we, one, make you aware that it's decision time. We are mowing it the best that we can. It is an age structure. I'll ask Sean to come up on this one because we did do a little bit of an inner discussion on this. And Sean, you want to just kind of tell him what you found out?
Yeah, so we visited the property, we walked it. That foundation's failing in that house. It's a pretty old house. That house is actually valued at $70,000 as an improvement on HCAD. So we've talked about this a lot historically about the 50% rule for FEMA. That house is in the floodplain. So if we invest more than 50% of the improvement value, $35,000, that house would have to be elevated. It's not economically feasible to do anything to that house. So it would be my recommendation as staff that that house does need to be demoed and that house needs to be removed from the property. It's in pretty poor condition. It doesn't have a kitchen. It'd be hard to convert it into anything that was usable. We'd be required by state and federal law to bring that house into compliance with ADA if we were going to use it, which would be a significant expense as well. So again, as far as the condition of the house, it's kind of a lost leader. It's something we probably need to remove. Any questions?
Thank you, Sean. That's really an odd piece of property, kind of that pie shape. I mean, what would we do with it logically?
I think your Parks Board has come up with some ideas for a pocket park, I think is what I've understood from Brian's discussion with the board. So, a small park of some sort, I think is what they're leaning towards as a recommendation. And I think there was a consensus the building is probably not in their recommendation or plan as well. It would just be for probably added parking in a park area.
The donation of that property, is there an avenue to sell it, or does it have to stay with the city?
We never designated it as park property, so if we have park property, we'd have to go to the voters to dispose. So there is a process that we could dispose of that, and it would be a process, but yes, we could.
We had a discussion early on about, what our options were, and just pie in the sky. If we did keep it, Gail had a couple of cool renderings if we decided to dispose of it, because Ms. Hanson wanted it to be a park that we would, that we could look at naming another park or a part of another park as an honorarium, something like that. That was our overall, 30,000 foot discussion months ago.
Sean, do you have an estimate of the overall cost of demo?
We have not gone through that exercise or that process yet. It was just a few weeks ago that I went out and physically looked at it. So we're kind of waiting for some direction from council on what you guys would like to do. I mean, it's like anything. If you want to throw enough money at something, you can fix it, but it's not feasible to do so, in my opinion. So we haven't started that process. If I had to guess, we have demoed some structures recently. It's probably a $20,000, $25,000 expenditure to have that property demoed.
So what I would like to see is, what I would like to see is maybe some type of, estimate. Thank you. Gosh, my brain stopped working. Some type of more formal estimate of demo cost, but then I would also like to see the Parks and Trails give us a presentation of what they're suggesting, or at least pass it along, email it so Gail can send it to us, just to make a full evaluation or assessment of what we decide, before we decide.
Follow-up, let's say we did that, we demoed the house, we'd have to build a driveway, we'd have to add that into the budget too. Could we look at potentially, is P&Z going to start looking at permeable parking at some point?
That's correct. I mean, I think as we go through the exercise, I think once we demo the structure and you guys determine what the end use of that property is going to be, if it's going to be parkland or whatever it ends up being, I think at some point in time, it's just much like Seabrook Park that we're working on, that at some point in time, we're going to work through the process of determining an overall design and then determining where the parking is going to be and all that information. I think there's an exercise that needs to be completed to determine what the final design of that park would be.
Okay, well, obviously, we're not making a decision tonight. We're just giving staff some direction. So I think if there's no objection, let's see what the cost would be to develop it into something, and then we'll make a decision. And then I would like to hear, I've talked to Jesse about it, and they have some ideas. I'd like to hear that too in full council at some point, and then we can make a decision.
The other thing too that's out there that's going to be an expense is the bulkhead. It's probably shot. Have y'all looked at that?
I personally haven't looked at it in detail, but I know that some of the Parks Board has gone out and looked at it, and it's probably not in as bad a shape as
Okay, good.
anybody. It shouldn't be a huge expenditure was what's
Okay.
indicated me to maintain that or bring it back into compliance. It's more of the house, removal of the house, and then coming up with the parks design. We've gone through that exercise recently, and that can be a complex process in determining what the ultimate design of that is and what kind of money we're going to spend
And protecting that tree.
in protecting that tree, which is complex because that tree is definitely in the site visibility triangle of that parking. We got to work through that process.
Okay.
What are the odds of it letting the fire department have access to that for training? Since if we're going to demolish it, we know a thing or two about breaking through walls. Like, do we think like it would be sound enough and safe enough to have training activities there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would be cautious as we work within that structure was built quite a long time ago, and I don't know what lead's in that building, if there's any, I wouldn't think there's asbestos, but again, before we go in there and start breaking it apart,
F-gas mask, it's all right.
that.
Yeah, because I mean, we've done it before, because I remember the apartments on Elmore, after Ike took them out, like we were able to use them and use some other people have done it, their properties to allow the fire department to come in there to do stuff that we can't normally do. And I remember when we walked it last year, that water was like, spongy. a lot of the floors. So I just didn't know if that was something that, potentially could be used to kind of help us get some training.
Okay.
Well,
We can keep that in mind as we go through the process, absolutely.
So could you without putting like hundreds of hours in it, just come back with a ballpark? It's going to cost $300,000 to rehab it, just something like that. Knock the building down, build a driveway, just some basic numbers so we can make a decision.
Yeah, we can, like we do on a lot of our projects, we can put some staff estimates together so we can.
Okay.
You guys, absolutely.
So this would be an estimate just to have the pad site ready, not for any of the garden accessory, or lack of better word.
I think once we get that and we hear from the Parks Board, I think they probably have some ideas of how they could help with that, based on my conversation.
you think it would be helpful to do like a joint meeting with us and Parks to that way have everybody in the same room at the same time and less back and forth of like, doing something like that?
Jared, you just like to have
great idea.
meetings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Hey,
just,
Let's do it in July, Jared.
Let's schedule a meeting
Other meetings.
to have a meeting, to schedule a meeting.
That's an excellent idea. Thank
he
you.
wants to tear stuff up and have tons of meetings, just so, is that for the record? We got that?
I cannot confirm.
Move on to, got any more discussion about that? I think we beat that one to death. So, community house refresh next. Questions, ideas, comments? I'm 100% in favor of that, personally. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right.
So I have a question. Is this, I know like some on like funding for like community house and projects like that. I know some of the stuff that EDC can be used is for like infrastructure. Is that something that we could ask EDC to help fund part of that project and use those funds for it? That way we're not having to like take it from general.
Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about the quality of life projects, and I didn't get into the skate park here, but that's probably another project we need to discuss. But the skate park, looking back at historical, that park, EDC funded the first one for $35,000. So what we have in the park right now, quality of life projects are definitely within their purview to do. So that could be a conversation with them.
Would it be a stretch to use hot funds for the community house?
Yes, yes.
Nice try. He said, we actually asked that question when we met with him, and he said no.
You can't.
Ask a few times, maybe that answer will change.
I mean, he looked straight at you, Angela.
Or that could be EDC, the matching grant if we were to get Parks and Wildlife.
Yeah, if that's an eligible project, yeah, that's, EDC could be a local match partner on that. Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you. Anything else on that? The roof, same thing, huh? Or do we push that off?
I don't think you can push the roof off. I mean, if you're doing all the interior work and everything else and you have a faulty roof, we're throwing money away.
I think Angela had a good idea with getting with the insurance company and having them review it and see if we can attach it to any of
Yeah,
the.
that's a good idea, but you're looking at a 20-year-old roof too and through.
Well, we had a 20-year-old roof, and our insurance adjuster was able to get the insurance to pay for it. So
Okay.
you never know.
I should have known your guy. Yeah. Okay, we're good. We'll do that. Good. Where we're going to go next, Gail? The new trail. So I had a question. This is the tie-in, right? That's what we're talking about. Was the port not going to do some redirect drainage work on the east end of that trail that was going to interfere with the trail, or is that a conversation from last year that something never happened? Or did that have to do with those detention ponds? Or they were going to divert something that was going into Pine Gully, I think. It was a year ago.
Yeah, the only thing they had in the settlement agreement, the document that was public, they had like 4 different options in the exhibit section, so they couldn't figure out which exact direction the road was going to be behind the berm. One of the options did cut through the berm at Toddville Bridge and went closer towards Toddville, and that's what I think they've elected not to touch the ponds, and it's going to be on the other side of those ponds. It'll be way away from, that one's going to be, I think, the less intrusive option, and that's what they're looking to go towards.
Okay, so that's a possibility then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you think they would entertain something like that?
I think so. We had a recent meeting, so we've already kind of introduced the concept to them, and we'll see what transpires on that.
Well, let's work it from that end then. Yeah, good. Baybrook Tennis and Pickleball Court reconstruction.
Brian, if you will, kind of talk a little bit about complaints and condition on that.
I'm not sure how old the court is. I know 4 or 5 years ago, we did a resurfacing on it, and it's currently back to where it was 4 or 5 years ago. Really recommend if you want to do it, demo it and do a new one. As far as lighting,
Can you speak up? Sorry.
yeah, as far as lighting, we've had requests for lighting, but we've also had lighting on and then the neighbors complaining. So I don't know which way to go with that.
Shielded already?
Some of the newer lighting is shielded. We have older lighting, and so this item is just kind of to start the discussion. Council a while back changed park hours, so we're now till 10 o'clock. And so the questions coming in, not pretty often enough to make us look at different parks, the tennis courts, the basketball courts. Baybrook's not used to having that. That has all old lighting in there, and so the shields, I think that there's two things that we're talking about internally. Any lighting over at that area is going to cause a little bit of, into the backs of those neighbors, even if it's the new LED lighting with shields. On the flip side of it, a long time ago when we decided to change the park hours, well, you're getting the users that are going, if we're going to stay here late, then where's the lights? So it's just kind of an introduction to this. We'll probably, if there's a desire to go in and do like a full assessment of our lighting. I know initially there was one project we talked about, and it's about 30,000. Looked like every park we looked at, it was going to be about $30,000.
We were looking at Friendship about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Friendship Park has lighting, but it's old lighting, we don't use it. We got complaints from the surrounding neighbors, Mystic Village and Baybrook.
The last time that we did work, did we just like resurface the courts?
We leveled it and resurfaced it and new paint. It's just the cracking in the foundations just come right back through.
So this time you're recommending like we do a complete gut, basically, like go down to the soil and everything. Gotcha.
Do we have any money left in the park funds, or have we replenished that at all this fiscal year?
Looking at Sahib. The park impact funds is, the last time I looked at that one's not significant. So I think it was around, don't completely quote me, less than 50,000. So when subdivisions come in, they've got the impact fee. So we could do some projecting on, how far we're going to build up on that. I know we had the one large commercial development, and they'll be paying park impact fees on that as well. So might be worth seeing what that projected balance looks like. But yeah, that would be an eligible.
Is the Seabrook Town Center, are they paying park impact fees as well? So then some of that projection will be coming from that build.
That money's for my pump track. And
Oh, sorry.
Any direction other than that?
Main thing on the lighting, this would be we have not done any work on that. We just wanted to inform you kind of the calls that we're getting. If that's something, it'll be probably a 50-50 project. We'll hear probably some complaints, but at the same time, we've posted new hours. The tennis courts, the basketball courts in particular, I think are the ones that we've heard from the most, that once it gets into the winter, they're still wanting to be out there, but, just a potential project that we could look at.
There's enough usage for those areas that it would warrant looking at.
Yeah.
Would motion activated lights, you think, help at all with some of the complaints? Or was the complaint just the lights, or just like hours of the lights? And
Like at the tennis court, it used to be a dial switch, and you could turn it up for an hour, it would go for an hour, and then it would turn itself off. It's just the lights itself.
Okay, so I'm confused. Are they complaining because they don't stay on long enough, or are they complaining because they're too bright?
yes.
Both? Of course. Both?
Okay, and that, I guess that covers general park lighting too? Okay.
Yeah, and I think, this is just sort of a good discussion on park lighting. We do have a lot of aged park lights. Your new LED lights that went out at Meadow Park are a good example of your new solar updated LEDs. If you take a look at all of our structures now, it's a lot of it's the old ballast type lights that we've had for, 30 plus years. So if that's something that you want us to explore, we can get some more concrete estimates and look at lighting up more of the facilities. I just caution if we go down that path, we'll probably have a couple of comments, but it's completely up to council.
Is this solar lights that you guys are considering? Like when y'all are?
Yeah, most of the municipal conferences that we're going to, there's great sign packages now that are streamlined LED, and most of them are solar that will be more sustainable and efficient anyway. So we've had pretty good luck with the new ones that are at Metter with the light base. Then we've got one over here at Morehouse Park.
I can see those being used at the tennis court, basketball court, for that big soccer field at Friendship Park. I don't know if it's going to have enough lumens to actually light up that entire field.
Okay.
Does the Seabrook Wildlife Park, do they have lighting on that parking area going into it? That's probably one that would need it, just safety, people coming and going.
Would the pavilion did the pavilion have any provision?
I don't think we spec'd out
Does
electrical.
that gate close at a certain time? Oh, no.
We don't. It's got the old cattle guard in
Got the
there,
old
but we
cattle
don't go lock it every night.
No, it's just dawn to dusk, you're supposed to be out of there.
Yeah.
Pine Gully restroom refresh.
So this is another staff recommendation. If you've gone out to Pine Gully Restroom, we're having, more events out at the park. The restroom is over 30 years old. It is a prefab. The inside, we've touched Meadow Park and Friendship Park and done a nice refresh on those two. This one just came up on an inner discussion that it's pretty rough if you've been in either the men's or the women's out there. This would be probably gutting all the amenities inside of it, doing maybe an epoxy flooring and just doing a update, but leaving the structure itself. We talked about if there's an option, but again, we're in that FEMA. This is a grandfathered structure, so we'll run into the whole FEMA issue again. So that's why the word refresh, it would just be sort of giving it some, love.
I agree. I mean, especially, we're putting over $2 million to redo the pier, and anyone who has used that bathroom recently definitely can understand the need for it, and especially if we're putting money into the pier and wanting to get the area built back up and, used again. I think it would definitely be a priority to get some hard numbers and look into redoing that bathroom.
No, we're not going to talk about that. Fire training facility.
Approved.
What approved? What would be phase 2?
So when we were doing the foundation plan, with limited funds, we cut it off. However, looking and working with A&D and the fire department, we looked at what it would look like to utilize that whole parcel. And so if you visit other fire training facilities, most of them have a learning classroom setting. They also have storage. They also have different, help me out, Jared, some of the toys that you refer to?
Training apparatus.
Training apparatus. So there would be different things that could be added to the site. So we have sort of a layout on additional concrete that could be laid in a phase 2 that would get us a little bit closer. As you know, with the trucks, that is 6-inch, 8-inch? 8-inch concrete. So these concrete pours are a little more expensive than your normal concrete just because the weight of the trucks that are going to go out there. So phase 2 would just be kind of opening the apron up, finishing the concrete around the structure, and then moving probably about halfway into the parcel. Phase 3 could look like putting actually a learning or classroom setting, some storage. I think some of the needs that I've heard from the police fire department is they have quite a bit of apparatus that has no real home behind the fire station right now. So it's kind of crowded, I think, in the parking lot for some of the smaller stuff, or in the bay. You've got it in the bay as well. So there's definitely a need, I think, long-term to look at still improving the facility and adding on to it. It's just, you're probably looking at close to $1 million if we tried to do it all at one time.
Did any of the discussions with Andy have like a canopy or a lean-to, or just because I know a lot of the other training fields around the area, they'll have like, a lot more concrete obviously, but then they'll have like little covered structures, not all out buildings, but just kind of like a place, especially if people are training in the summertime to get out of the sunlight, kind of go over there, kind of a place to sit down, and that's covered. Was that part of the?
So we did very high concept when we were kind of laying out where the existing building would go and what it might look like if we poured additional concrete. There's just placeholders, so we didn't get into that much detail. We'd probably need, so we need some design help to make sure we do it right. But I think we've got blocks on there, so we didn't really talk about what the blocks could be in that much detail.
Did Andy mention about his Swiftwater dreams?
No.
Wait for that one.
Okay.
Is this something that we could help fund with, I think it was is it the public safety fund, or what is it that the fire department utilizes?
It is public safety fund. So we used all of that pretty much to do the boat for the fire department. So we're still working on that bid. That will pretty much deplete us out of that fund. We get about 100,000 new money every year. So we'd build up. We've also had the discussion of trying to raise that public safety fee. So this might be a good conversation to have about that. So we're currently at $3 a month. It goes on the water bills automatically unless the individual tells us to take it off. We did a quick survey. Kevin helped us out. Where's Kevin at? Oh, it was around $5, I think, was the average. So we are lower for the cities that have opted to do the public safety. That's another option that would raise, additional funds if we wanted to look at that. A long time ago, we started that. We started saving in that fund for doing a emergency type trailer, and then we were able to get one of those. And then last year we decided, okay, we've got pretty good stockpile, let's go ahead and move that towards the boat project. But again, if that were raised a little bit, you could probably look at, a little bit more significant projects.
Do you remember what the formula is for like apartment complexes in like the town center and all the different apartments? Because I know like for residential, it's like each meter, you pay $3 per month for the house. Do you remember what the calculation was for how much we get from the apartments?
I do not.
I'm asking a tough
I'll have
question.
to get back with you on that. I do not know that answer. Look into my staff to see if anybody out there's nodding their head. Nope. Okay.
Anybody have an opinion about that? I pay $8 a month per meter at my business just for a whatever fee, so,
Still waiting on my minions.
yeah. So $1, right? Take that money out of my meter.
But I do agree to maybe look into re-look into increasing the public safety fund, that monthly water bill. Just kind of, it's been great. It's served the city very, very well, and as everything, unfortunately, everything goes up. Costs go up. And if we're at 3 and like the average is 5, I don't see any reason why we couldn't just increase that a little bit to help get more money in that fund to fund things properly.
Well, doesn't a percentage of our sales tax go back to the public safety fund?
No.
No, that's the crime control.
What am I confusing that with?
Crime control district.
Crime controlled. Okay, so why don't we just take that budget? Look at his face. Okay, is there a way that we can create a different avenue for that other than the water bill?
No.
Okay.
I can't think of another, either voluntary or even a special district. I can't think of anything right now that you'd want to add to it. That would be your easiest. It's already established, and you've got the flexibility to raise it. And it also allows for the individual, if they feel strongly, they can opt out of it. So it's not, it's not
mandatory.
completely
Okay.
mandatory, yeah.
Okay.
Or solicit industry, because doesn't the fire department work with some of the industry? So
They do. I know Summer and I went just to make sure everybody's aware. So there is the Port of Houston has several of us on the community board, and so that might have sent out the document, but there's a Bible now of all the cities around the channel that have put in their wish list items. The idea with this is that they'll take a look, all the chemical plants will take a look, the impact that they have on the communities that are adjacent, and be good community partners, step up and pick out different projects. So we're kind of told to kind of sit still, and they're evaluating them, and then they'll come to us. So just as an FYI, we've got several of our projects in this book that's out there in front of the chemical plants right now.
So we met when we went to the port event last Friday.
Yeah, Jared may or may not have mentioned that to the board.
Garrett's a great guy.
Garrett is a really great guy. Are we able to see the list that you guys gave them? Because when we spoke to him, we had discussed that we were going to be going into our budget cycle and our CIP cycle for review, and that we as a council would like to take a look at the proposals that are going to be submitted to them.
Yes, absolutely. And they did a fantastic job. The print on that is literally this, but it's every community. But I think the digital is on their website, so I'll send you guys a link of that.
Yeah, and the
Port Houston website.
Yeah, and the port people we spoke with were very excited and very interested in doing things that the community would like to have done within the city.
It's a great collaborative effort. I hope for us and all the communities around that we do see some benefit and collaboration from the companies.
While you're making your list of things to do, would you also put on there the second phase of Bayside Park for me so I can talk to GLO about it?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, and I agree, like working with our local industry partners is, only going to be beneficial for us, and it's, the other cities around have, they have a lot of great partnerships with the industry, and haven't been able to have a lot of great infrastructure in their cities, because of being friends with them. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that is something that is definitely worth, us having like real good conversations, and the city in general just having a real good open dialogue, open communication with the industry, because they're the ones that are able to, potentially fund some pretty substantial projects for us down the road.
Okay, good conversation. Let's see. That's all I see on the list. Anything else anybody wants to add to the list? I think we actually had John's points more or less wrapped in some of that other stuff. Mm-hmm. The trail and that signage is wrapped into the whole sign project.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that, working that into the RFP scope as well, so that's an option.
Okay.
So this is Mr. Cogshell presented last year during budget session. This is a piggyback onto that signage that we previously discussed and never
Trying to remember.
did correct.
Oh, the trail signage. So that, as an update, if that's what you're talking about. So the trailhead signage that has the little awning on it, that is in. I believe the artwork came in. Okay, so they're in the process of putting that all together, and we bought 4 of those. So John's going to help them find locations and install of that. So those should be going up pretty soon. Yeah, that one's done.
So this is something that could potentially fall in the hot tax category as well.
Yeah, right now it's slotted. That is very much an eligible project for your hot funds and your EDC funds. Yep.
Anything else?
I know that we've done a great job with the murals thus far, and I don't know if this is the time to discuss that, but I'd like to see more of those going up around the city and give some type of, maybe this is an EDC thing, some type of incentive for businesses to have murals professionally done on their business, on their actual facilities.
Yeah, I think Rick had told me that he had seen another city, one that doesn't incentivize them, they just encourage it, and then one that does a different incentive program to put something as far as a large mural inside their business or outside their business. So there's multiple samples that a number of staff members have pulled up. So I think that would be a good decision or a good project to discuss with EDC if they wanted to do any kind of partnering on that.
I like that idea, and to piggyback on it, can we maybe incentivize if they pair up with, say, the local college students and high school art students? I think it would be more meaningful and impactful if you, instead of sourcing outside of the city or our area, to source amongst the talent that we have in Seabrook.
I know traffic boxes too. Deer Park a couple of years ago, they got with a local area artist and kind of like went through a bunch of the traffic boxes in Deer Park on like East Boulevard and all that to kind of make it look not like a gray sterile traffic box, you know, and they had different themes throughout the city, so.
I need to check back with TxDOT. I think we'd had a discussion for us, the TxDOT own, we don't do our own traffic divisions, so they're not our own boxes, and I'm not sure if Deer Park owns those. We can certainly ask the question. Again, I can't recall right now if we've had that question posed to them, but
Deer Park does all their own work inside the traffic boxes, so my guess is TxDOT doesn't run them. Because I
Okay.
doubt they would let them.
that was my
in their
initial understanding. If you own it, then that's, a lot of the cities that are doing it have, they're large enough that they've got a traffic division, so.
Hey, Gail, I had a citizen request, just remembered, concerning the trash cans like that are along Main Street, the plastic ones, that they have seen those also decorated and painted by local residents, and they were wondering if we could get more information out on perhaps being able to do that.
Those are definitely the individuals. I don't think we have anything in the waste management contract that would hinder them from doing that. That would probably just be sort of a grassroots effort to, in the old district, if people want to start doing that and trending it, that would be cool.
Are you talking about at the parks, Mel, or are you talking about, because I was wanting them at the parks, but
Well, she was talking about all the city, but
like
she
the big
was,
green ones? Okay.
yep, there's some local artists.
Roll carts? Or
Just the big round ones?
Yeah, okay.
So there were some local artists that wanted to,
I'm sorry, so the city.
So the city, the blue ones?
Yeah.
yeah, the blue ones.
That's what I was wanting to see. Yeah, okay.
And so who would they be able to talk to maybe perhaps get that grassrooted and started?
Maybe the Parks Board.
Me? I say go for it, but
That nomination.
let's go.
Yeah, I think that should, I mean, it needs to be cohesive, right, with our coastal vibes. So
Yeah, that they could come up with some concepts and
maybe the Parks Board could take
Present
that
to
on
you
as a
guys.
project. Thank you. We have some Park Board member here.
I'll put your name out, Jesse, and others. Nemo.
Debbie, yeah, John. Anybody else? We have anything else to discuss on the CIP?
That concludes our recommendations for now.
Okay, thank you. Good discussion. Item 2.2, consider and take all appropriate action on an amendment to the license agreement between the City of Seabrook, Texas Markets for a change in operating hours in the city property located at 1209 Main Street, Seabrook, Texas. They were wanting to, during the hot summer months, do some evening markets, I believe, which I think is a brilliant idea. As long as the local community wouldn't object, I don't see why they would. I think they're going to close at 9, 5:30 to 8:30 or 5:30 to 9. There you go, 5 to 9.
Motion to approve section 2.2.
Second.
Councilmember, was that you, Summer?
It was.
Sorry. Motion to approve, who seconded? Oh, Angela, thank you, second. Any further discussion?
I had some.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I had a question. I was just concerned about parking at night because I guess they would be using the parking behind Merlion.
That is city parking.
That is city parking. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I had another question for them, but they're not here, so it's okay.
Okay.
We're also looking at doing the parking that's directly behind it. We're extending that parking as well.
That'll double our parking, but I don't know, where's that project?
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
We have not got an update. It's with our engineers, but do you know anything further?
I think Cobb Bentley's working on design, but I don't remember if they have a PO yet.
Oh,
It's been approved, but I don't know if I got a PO for
Okay.
Cobb Bentley yet.
we will find out where we're at on the status and report back.
Another thing I want to make sure that we kind of take a look at is the asphalt that's around,
Okay, wait, okay, stop.
Oh.
Okay, we're way off topic. Yeah.
sorry.
Anything about the contract? All in favor? Opposed? None? Unanimous? Thank you. Item 3. You don't need your calendar for this one, no? Okay, good. Hearing no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 7:20 PM. Thank you, everyone. Good stuff. Good thing you're here to keep summer on topic.